Alright, everybody, welcome to confirmation class. We started a new kind of segment. We did the Apostles' Creed last 3 sessions. We're going to start on the 10 Commandments and we're going to try to work our way through all 10 of them. We're going to begin with the reading from Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. And we're going to go around the room and kind of read it verse by verse. So read one verse and then we will go on. So we're going to start with Callan. And we're going to work our way along the floor. We'll come up to Ellie, then come down to Braden, and finish up with Trace. Do you have to read? Do your best shot. All right? Do your best shot.
One verse, Colin, you'll be fine.
You have like 5 words.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, then God spoke in these words.
How tough was that?
Oh my goodness.
No, I thought I had to write like
No,
Very
one
tough.
verse. All right.
you.
Very tough because he said in and not all.
Okay, next. Right.
Where are we at?
Verse 2.
Verse 2. I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery.
Wait.
You shall have no other God before me.
Go.
I thought he number 4.
Oh, he's next. You're number 4.
Oh. You shall not make for yourself an idol whenever in the form of anything that is in heaven above or on the earth beneath or is that in the water of the earth. Yeah.
Okay. You shall not bow down to them or worship them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing children for the iniquity of parents to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who reject me.
But showing a steadfast love to the 1000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments.
You shall not make wrongful use of the name Lord your God, for the Lord will not acquit anyone who misuses his name.
Remember the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. For 6 days you shall labor and do all your work.
But the 7th day is the Sabbath to the Lord your God. You shall not do any work, you, your son or your daughter, your male or female slave, your livestock, or the alien residents of your town.
For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the alien residents, sea and all that is in them. But rested the 7th day, therefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and
Consecrated it. Callan.
In honor of your father and your mother, so your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you.
Rise.
Boy, you should not murder.
Yeah, you should not murder.
You should.
You should not do it.
You shall not commit adultery.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor.
You should not covet your neighbor's house. You should not covet your neighbor's wife, or male or female slave, or ox or donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor.
Thank you. All right. This is the basis for the 10 Commandments. And before we actually start going into them one by one, I'm going to give you some of the background and some of the stuff behind them. A lot of times when people think about Christianity, they think that Christianity is just a bunch of rules and stuff like that and regulations that you're supposed to follow. 10 Commandments, you're supposed to do all those things. Love your neighbor, that's what you're supposed to do. Be a good person, that's what you're supposed to do. And they think Christianity is basically all of that stuff. But that's not really what Christianity is about. Every world religion is essentially that, trying to tell you what to do and has rules and regulations. But Christianity has a different take on why we follow them. Because once you go through these laws, these 10 Commandments, at first you can look at them and say, okay, I do that, I do that, I do that, I do that. But as you start digging into them, you're going to find out that you really don't. None of us fully follows these 10 Commandments at all. We fall short and fall down. That's why Christianity says you're not saved by following the rules. You're saved by God's grace alone. That's what I've talked about, with the person of Jesus. We can't follow the rules. We need a Savior. But that raises the question. If we're not saved by doing good things, why do we follow them? Why do we follow the law? 3 reasons. Number 1, the first reason is we follow the law because that's the best way we thrive. It has to do with kind of what is safe and what is not safe. My house is right across the street, and we live on Ross Street. And from the time my kids could understand, they've had a rule. Guess what the rule is?
Don't go to another street.
Don't go on the street. You can play on the sidewalk. You can play on the grass. You can go around and play in the parking lot. Don't play in the street. Why?
Because then you ran over.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Yeah, you get run over by a reindeer. I don't quite think Santa's coming through on this one. But it's dangerous to play out on the street. So I told my kids, don't play out on the street. Is it because I want to limit my kids' ability to express themselves?
No.
Is it because I hate my kids and just want them to be, so strictly constrained and not able to do anything?
No.
No. I give them the rules because it's for their own safety. If they stay out of the street, if they stay within the boundaries that I draw, they're safe. If you go outside the boundaries, you're liable to get hurt. So reason number 1 that the law is given to us, the reason we have rules, is so that we don't get hurt. Don't break the rules, you'll be safe. Break the rules, you don't know what's going to happen. So any questions on that? Okay, let's look at rule number 2. The second reason that there are rules, that there are consequences to your actions. There's consequences to breaking rules. Now, you know as well as I do, rules are broken all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Driving down the highway, how many people actually drive the speed limit?
About
One
maybe
out of
4.
Like,
One out of 10.
like 1/3 of the people on the
Not
highway?
even.
Not a lot. Not a lot. I mean, I tend to try to drive the speed limit. I've gotten 1 parking ticket, or not parking ticket, I got 1 speeding ticket. That was enough for me. I don't want any more.
Dude, my mom gets one
A lot of
like
stuff going
at
on.
least every year, I think.
I know, I understand, but I've gotten 1, it was a long day, I wasn't paying attention, messed up, got a speeding ticket. I don't want another one. It cost me a lot of money, about $300, $400 to take, a driver's assistant, the driver's class, and, get deferred adjudication, all of that kind of stuff, and so it's off my record, but it cost me. And when it comes to driving the speed limit, not a lot of people do. Why?
Because typically it's too slow.
Well, that's not the only reason.
Because they don't want to go slow, like, what, I'm trying to put this in words. Like, they want to, maybe they have somewhere to get to, maybe.
But that's not one of the reasons. That's not the prime reason they don't follow
You
the
don't
speed
They
limit.
don't care, they don't
Or they
care.
just-
Very good, Rise. Say that out loud again.
You don't always get in trouble.
You don't always get in trouble. In fact, most of the time, do you get in trouble for breaking the speed limit?
No.
Nah.
No. Why?
Well, because you go 5 over.
It's
You go 5
like-
over, they don't care. You go 10 over.
And most of the time, there's no cops around, are there?
No.
There's not enough
The cops have a very limited presence. Now, if you see a patrol officer
You slow down.
around, up ahead,
You slow down.
you slow down, right? I mean, it's like automatic, your foot just comes off the gas. And if you're driving down the road, even if you're driving speed limit and you see a cop coming behind you,
You still slow down.
you still slow down, you get all nervous, like, what's that cop doing? Is he gonna bust me? Because you're afraid. There's the threat of punishment. And so, if there's a threat of punishment, we follow the law. We think we're gonna follow it. But when the threat goes away, when there's no fear, we drive it. Sometimes speed, a lot. But are there consequences to that action? Can there be consequences to that action? You driving too fast on a wet day, what could happen?
Hydroplane.
Hydroplane spin out, wreck. You're driving too fast at night, particularly these country roads around here, what could happen? Deer, a hog, something like that. I mean, you're
That's good with a
toast.
hog, if you have like a big bumper and everything.
All right, next time you have your parents bust a hog like that and tear up the front of the truck or the front of the car and
You
ask
pay
them if
for
that
it.
was a good thing.
That's like.
And then they're gonna make you
Dead
pay
pig,
Make
but
it
it's
sound worse
expensive.
than what it really is.
Well, it just depends on how you hit them and how big the pig is. But the thing about the rules is, if you follow them, you don't have the negative consequences. And so God knows and can see everything, and he says, okay, these rules are in place so that, there aren't the negative consequences in your life. So follow the rules, you're safe, follow the rules, there are no negative consequences. Now for the Christian, the third reason we follow the law is a little bit different than the first two. For a Christian, the reason we follow the law is because we know it brings God joy. Now, when I was younger, of course, I thought that my parents sometimes were stupid. I thought they were dumb. I thought they didn't know anything. And so when they asked me to do stuff or wanted me to do stuff, did I always follow their directions?
No.
No, of course, you probably do the same thing. It's part of nature, part of human nature, because we have a rebellious streak in us. We rebel against authority. We do that from time to time. I did it. You're probably going to do it. I tell Kira, you can vouch for this. I've told you before, one of these days you're going to think I'm the dumbest person in the world, right? I've told you that before? Yeah, I've told her that. I already know what's coming. I expect it.
Well, my parents don't expect it, and I already started doing it.
I understand.
They don't even they tell you to do something over and over, and I'm like, well, if you don't yell at me, maybe I'll do it. Like, they yelled at me first time. I'm like, well, don't yell at me, I'll do it.
Well, that's because over time we get frustrated with you never doing anything, and so we figure we got to just skip to the yelling part and put the other
You need to
stuff
make
on.
sure that Miss Jittard sees this so that she can.
Oh,
see
it'll
it.
be on YouTube, so
Oh,
Yeah, but
she
you need to make
knows-
sure
she
she
knows she
actually
does it
sees
too.
it.
I'm
She
sure
knows
she'll
she
do
does
it.
it, so.
I know, but you go through that time in your life when you think your parents are dumb, they don't have anything to say, you don't want to mess with them, so you don't do what they say. By the time I got to about 20, 22, 23, I was out on my own and doing things on my own, and I came to realize that my parents were not as dumb as I thought they were. In fact, I came to see that they had a lot of wisdom, a lot of understanding. They knew things that I didn't know. They could see things that I couldn't see. And so things changed drastically from never listening to them to the point where I would listen to them very, very carefully and oftentimes do what they asked me to do. Why?
Because it was smart, or it was good at that time.
I respected them. I came to love them deeply and honor them deeply, and I knew when I showed that kind of love and did the things that they knew were right, I knew it brought them joy. And when we follow God and we love God and we understand that God is looking out for our best interests and has given a lot for us. I mean, that's one of the things that I've come to appreciate now about my parents. I know what they put up with me when I was a kid. I know how they dealt with my stubbornness and hard-headedness. I know how much financially they shelled out to keep me in clothes. I know the sacrifices and stuff that they made. I used to play football, like Casey, and after every game I'd come home, my mom would make me 2 hamburgers. I'd probably eat a pound of meat with a burger and then like a huge amount of fries, and if that wasn't what on the deal, she'd probably make me 20 chicken nuggets with a whole big bunch of fries. I'd eat that after every meal. And I think back on that and went, oh man, my mom was really trying to take care of me after I expended all the energy, all those calories. She was providing for me because she loved me. She was taking care of me. And I didn't fully appreciate that till now, and now I look back and go, man, my mom made all of these sacrifices. So when I have a conversation with my mom, and like this past week, some of you know my grandfather had a major stroke. He's probably in the later years of his life. We don't know what's going to happen around Christmas. My parents are hunters. They normally get a couple of deer every year, but they said, I don't know if we're going to get one. If you have the opportunity to get a deer, can you shoot one for us? Of course. Of course I will. Because I want to bring them joy. I want them to be happy. So when we do what God asks us to do, we know we bring Him joy. We know we bring Him happiness.
Did you get a deer? Oh.
One for me and one for my family.
No, I thought you went all out and got them 2.
No, I got 2. I got one for me and one for them. If I get an opportunity, I am going to try to get them another one. So yes, I will try to get another one. So anyways, those are the 3 reasons we follow the law. 1, because we know it keeps us safe. Number 2, it keeps us from negative consequences. And number 3, because we know it brings God joy. So those are the reasons we follow the commandments. And we have to understand why God gives them and how He gives them. That's part of the next thing we need to realize. is if you read the beginning of the Ten Commandments, if you read the first couple of verses, if you want to turn to those now, God says, I am the Lord your God. That's his first statement. Who did what? I brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of slavery. We need to know that when God issues a command, when he gives us instructions to do so, he does not do it just out of the blue. He always does something for us first. He always cares for us first. He always shows love first. He always gives to us before he demands anything out of us. That's what he did with the Israelites on Mount Sinai. That's what he does for us as Christians. He loves us. He dies for us. And then he says, hey, follow me. He always takes the initiative and always acts first. And sometimes that's hard to see, but it's very important. And there's a lot of things that he did. He not only just brought the Israelites out of Egypt and from the house of slavery. You didn't read the story, but you'll see on the worksheet there are other things that God did for the Israelites even before he asked them to do anything. He decimated the Egyptian army to free the Israelites. He sent plagues upon the Egyptians to point out that the Egyptians, to the point where the Egyptians gave the Israelites gold as they left. They said, go, leave, take our wealth. We want you gone. So God provided them plenty of wealth. When he was leading them to the promised land, he led them with a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. He provided bread and meat and stuff in the wilderness. And then when they ran out of water, he provided them water. So God was giving them all of this stuff. And there were thousands upon thousands of people, and God provided for them the entire way before they even got to Sinai and before God said, here are my commands. So it's always important to realize God acts first, and then he asks us to follow. So let me stop there. Do you have any questions so far about these things that I've covered? Nothing. Great. And we're going to turn to the first commandment. We're only going to cover one today. It's a big one. I would argue that it's the most important commandment and that all the rest of the commandments hinge on it. And the first commandment is, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall have no other gods. You shall have no other gods before me. Now, in that statement, did God say there are no other gods but me?
He said you should have.
He said you should have no other. Which means, are there other gods out there?
Yes.
Yes.
Are they real?
Yes.
No. Oh, yeah.
They are real. I'll get to that in a minute.
Okay.
Just not quite what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it's not. Okay, we're going to look at what Luther says, a couple of things, and then I'm going to try to break it down kind of in language hopefully we can all understand. Luther says, what does this mean? And Luther says we should fear, love, and trust God above all things. Now, he always starts off his explanation to every commandment with the words we should fear and love. Because there is an aspect of God that we should fear. God is mighty, he is powerful, he hates sin, he hates it when we do anything wrong. And so there is a way we should kind of tremble at someone who has power like that. I mean, for those of you when mom or dad threatens to take away your phone, or, you know, when I was a kid, he threatened the belt. That scared the hell out of me. So I was terrified of my dad, but did I love my dad too?
Yes.
Yes, it's a combination. Both of those work together. Fear and love. We fear the discipline that our parents can give us, but we love them tremendously. And so we fear God's discipline, we fear his wrath at our sin, but we love him tremendously because his grace abounds much more than his love. So what does this mean when it comes to trusting God above all else? And I think the first thing we need to do is say, what is a God? What is a God?
Something you worship.
That's what we think. Okay, something you worship. What else? What else would you say a God is?
Like a ruler.
A ruler?
Something that you can always lean on. That
Something you can always lean on.
something.
And Kylie, your definition right there is actually the closest to what Luther says a God is, something we lean on. Luther said this, and that it's on your worksheet. He says, a God is that to which we look for all good, in which we find refuge in every time of need. To have a God is nothing else than to trust and believe Him with our whole heart. As I have often said, the trust and faith of the heart alone make both God and idol. If your faith and trust are right, then your God is a true God. On the other hand, if your trust is false and wrong, then you do not have the true God. For these two things belong together, faith and God. That to which your heart clings and entrusts itself is, I say, really your God. Put in this way: whatever you think is going to bring you the most happiness, the most joy, the most satisfaction, the most fulfillment. Whatever you think is going to give you the most safety, security, joy, satisfaction, happiness, and fulfillment, that is your God. So what can be a God?
Anything. Money.
Yes. You're right on. What else? Money can be a God. What else?
Oh, that's what you meant by
Sports.
other God.
Your family.
Yeah, they're real, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are real. Your family can become a God. Exactly, they can. What else can become a God?
Your friends.
Your friends.
Belongings.
Jesus, belongings,
Career.
career.
If I remember correctly, it was your ranch.
On my ranch, yes. Bringing my happiness and satisfaction. Anything that you think, your deepest heart's desire, the thing to which your heart clings, and you think you cannot live without,
Food.
that's
Water.
your God. You
Some
can make
people
food and
think
water.
they're fun.
Absolutely. You're
It's
right.
like
You're right.
90% of America right now.
Alan nails for you to the wall with that one. But yeah, in politics, who's in power? The Democrat Party, the Republican Party, the President of the United States, your congressman.
Everybody sucks.
Anything.
2016.
Anything that you think is going to bring you complete joy and satisfaction is your God. Anything. And the question is, can those other gods satisfy? Can those other gods bring you joy? Can those other gods bring you happiness? Can they bring you satisfaction, fulfillment, safety, security, and whatnot?
Yes, but no. You can do it, but not as good as.
They will
God
never
did.
last. See, that's the thing. You're absolutely right. I've been around a little longer than you have. I have gotten probably paid more times than you have. But for those of you who have ever done any work or received a gift of money, and you like money, I know most of us do, is there a great thrill when you get a nice check? Doesn't it feel good?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, this is awesome.
Now I get to go spend it.
Now I get to go spend it. And it feels really good to go buy something too, doesn't it?
I spend it before I even get it, so that's my
I understand. And so, I mean, it's like, if when I was a kid, I don't know where y'all are at as far as the things that you want. But when I was a kid, man, there was a certain toy that I wanted. I want to have a toy, gotta have a toy, gotta have a toy, gotta have a toy. Finally get the toy.
And then in like 2 seconds you're like, oh, I don't want it anymore.
I've played with it and then I want another one.
Exactly.
Because
And then it like sits in your room for like 3 years and you're like, oh, I forgot I had it.
Right.
Trash.
I've
And you
done
spent
that.
like $20 on it and you were so excited to get it.
you're right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when kids are little, and my kids were guilty of this, we tried to keep them out of McDonald's for as long as we possibly could. And I don't know who finally got them turned on to McDonald's. Nona got you turned on to McDonald's. It was Nona's
She
fault.
took us for ice cream.
I'm gonna have to have a talk with Nona about it. But I tried to keep them away from McDonald's as much as I could. Because McDonald's sucks. Their food is
Yeah, you
horrible
have
to
that
begin with.
right. Their iced tea is pretty good, but that's
The
about
fries
it.
and the mango pineapple slush. But that's the only thing.
I don't do the mango pineapple. I don't like the fruit stuff. I take your word for it.
Hey, you gotta see this from a child's view.
I do.
We
see
do
it
it for the toys.
Exactly, that's it. I knew they did it for the toys because those toys were the most important thing in the world. If that stupid toy was the wrong toy or if it got broken, all hell broke loose. It was horrible. Because God, we gotta have the toy.
The toy is like the worst part.
And you play with it for like 10 minutes in the car on the way home, and then do you ever touch it again?
No.
Right,
Just-
it'll sit
just
in the
to throw it
car
away.
for like 8
Well, you don't leave it in the
Yeah.
car. You chunk it and
Yeah,
make
I
a
know.
toy box. And like you go through it 10 years later, and you're like, oh yeah,
But you gotta have it. You gotta have the toy.
yeah, you gotta have that toy.
You gotta have it. So finally, get rid of it. No, it does. Those gods don't work. All of those gods don't work. They bring you temporary satisfaction. They bring you temporary fulfillment.
And then bam,
You know,
gone.
and then it's gone. And if you don't want to take my word for it, I'm going to read to you a quote that a gentleman by the name of David Foster Wallace gave when he was giving a graduation speech at a college. Now, you've probably never heard of this guy, but he was a famous author, wrote a lot of books. He was very popular. People asked him to come and talk about things, and he talked about this at one of his speeches. And he says this: everyone worships. The only choice we get is what to worship. And the compelling reason to maybe choosing some sort of God or spiritual type thing to worship is that pretty much anything else you worship will eat you alive. Essentially, any other God that you turn to will eat you alive. Listen to what he says. If you choose to worship money and things, if they are where you tap the real meaning in life, then you will never have enough. You will never feel that you have enough.
That's what I've heard.
You look at your bank account, you look at how much money you have in your wallet. Is it enough?
No.
Or do you want more?
More.
Let me tell you something, guys. When I first started and got married, I remember my wife and I had $2,500 in our bank account. That's all we had. $2,500, that was it. And we thought, man, we need more money. We need to pad it. We need more money. I went on internship. By the time I was done with internship, we had like $8,000 in our account. I was like, whoa, but we need more. We need more.
You can never have enough.
Oh, as time went by,
Never have too much.
I got $25,000 in my account. Oh man, I don't know. I still think we need more. I still think we need more. I don't care if you have $2,500 in your account. I don't care if you have $25,000. I don't care if you have $1 million. Even millionaires will continue to try to get more and more and more money because they think they have to have more.
Hear that, Reed? Donald Trump's not perfect after all.
No, he's not.
I never said he was perfect.
How many of you remember Bernie Madoff? Any of you remember him?
No,
I thought you were
Bernie
about to say
Sanders?
No, not Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Bernie Madoff. This guy, if I remember right, he was head of Enron. If you've ever heard of Enron, they were a real big energy company down in Houston. This guy
Oh
was
yeah, I've heard
Oh,
of
is he that one guy that
guy
was
who used
stealing all
to
the stuff?
he
steal all the
was
money.
stealing everybody's
Oh, and
money.
he was rich as can be.
He was rich as can be. He had millions and
Yeah,
millions
but he
and
was
billions
set
of
a
dollars.
dime.
This is the third time you've told us this
Yes,
story,
I know.
just FYI.
I understand. I'm trying to remind you because it's important to realize that even millionaires and billionaires who you would think have enough still try to get it. Athletes who play their sports and reach the pinnacle, reach the NFL, reach Major League Baseball, reach the NBA. How many of them have turned to drugs?
Oh,
Why? They have everything they could possibly want. They have money, they have fame, they have wealth, they have women hanging off of them, the guys do. What more do they need? Why do they do drugs?
Because people are
maybe
dumb.
they're like
They
always
do.
stressed about their game.
Why do they do like muscle and the stuff to like?
Oh, because they gotta get better.
Yeah.
They gotta keep up with it. They turn to that stuff because they're not fulfilled. They still have the emptiness within them. It's eating them alive. Let's continue with what Foster Wallace says. Worship your body and beauty and sexual allure, and you will always feel ugly. And when time and age start showing, you will die 1,000 million deaths before they finally give you up. Have you seen some of these celebrities who do plastic surgery after plastic surgery after plastic surgery?
Gosh.
Isn't that Kim Kardashian or something?
Yeah.
Trying to hang on to beauty, trying to hang on to the way they look. Because as they grow old and start getting wrinkly and things start falling apart, they cannot stand it anymore. They are dying 1,000 deaths when they look in the mirror each day because they worship beauty. Their God is beauty.
That's huge.
Worship power and you will end up feeling weak and afraid, and you will need ever more power over others to numb you to your own fear. Think about the last political session we went through. Republicans and Democrats. What did Republicans say about Democrats? What did Democrats say about Republicans?
Democrats said that Republicans are the deplorables.
They said they're deplorables, yes. And they were what? What did they think these deplorables were going to do?
Basically, take away their abortion, their immigration.
Take away everything, which means they were what?
Useless. I mean, powerless.
They were powerless, and they were what? They were afraid. They were scared. And what did Republicans say about Democrats?
They said Yeah.
Basically same thing, it was just different things, but they are going to expand government, they're going to raise your taxes, they're going to take your wealth, they're going to do all these things, which again makes you what? Afraid. You're losing power, you're losing influence, fear. So if power is your God, eventually you're going to be afraid because you will never have enough power. There's always a threat that someone will overtake you. Here's another one. Worship your intellect, being seen as smart, and you will end up feeling stupid. You got it. A fraud always on the verge of being found out. But the insidious thing about these forms of worship is they are unconscious. They are the default settings. Our hearts, as Foster Wallace notes, even though he was an atheist,
What's that?
someone who doesn't believe in God, he says our hearts do not automatically cling to God. They do not automatically trust God. Our hearts automatically seek all these other things. Our hearts automatically seek wealth, they seek power, they seek beauty, they seek all of these other things as God because they're real, they're tangible, we can hold them, we can feel them, we can sense them, we can obtain them for a little while. And so our heart clings to them instead of the one true God. God says, worship me and worship me alone because He knows He is the only one who can truly give you that sense of safety, satisfaction, fulfillment, and peace down in.
But we still don't do it.
Huh?
But we still don't do it.
We still don't do it. And that's because we haven't gotten to that place where we fully trust Him.
Will we ever?
Huh?
So will we ever?
It gets better. It gets better. For the longest time I didn't, and I didn't even realize it. For the longest time I was trusting in myself. Trusting what I could do. Trusting in my own abilities. And to an extent I wanted wealth, I wanted fame, I wanted fortune, I wanted all of those things.
Who doesn't want that? Possibly a couple people, I'm sure.
Well, there are people who don't. Things have changed for me. There were times where I used to go buy lottery tickets. I mean, Powerball would get huge, and my kids got mad at me because they I promised them all a pet and stuff like that if I won the lottery. They're like, but Dad, you don't play the lottery anymore. That's not fair. But that's when I wanted wealth. That's when I thought I would be safe and secure with wealth.
Well, because then everybody's going to come after you with money, and you're going to be popular, and then everybody's going to know where you are, and it's
And
like all
basically, you're gonna have your
Yeah.
And people are gonna be like, oh no,
And
you
you're going to quit your
money.
job, and then whenever you
Right.
get robbed and hacked,
Right.
then you're not, it's a mess.
But I have to.
Oh, block my butt.
I have to say that I'm different now. I don't play the lottery anymore. I'm content with what I have. And because my heart has changed. My heart has gone from trusting in myself to trusting in God. God now is down at the center of my being. Not fully, because I'm still fighting. I mean, I still like to get my paycheck and see the money on it. You know, I still like watching my bank account grow. But no longer do I look at that and say, oh, I need more. I've got to have more. Instead, my trust says, okay, if something happens, God will take me to where I need to go. I don't have proof of that, I don't have evidence of that, but I just trust Him. I trust that He's going to take care of it. And a lot of that comes when, like I said with your parents, you know, when you learn to really love and appreciate what they have done for you, you get to that point where you too trust them, love them, and do what they ask. And you know they're always there for you.
Yes,
You
but-
eventually get that way with God.
But everybody that fully trusts God, whenever they look at their bank account or if they look at their family, there's that 1% of you that always says, you've got your good conscience and you've got your bad one. There's that 1% that always says you need more. So nobody really ever fully.
No, you don't ever fully get there. And that's one of the things we realize about grace is that we're never fully there and we're constantly in that growing process. And I just talked with my adult Bible study this morning, and we talked about that because we talked about Abraham. Abraham was one of the people in the Bible who trusted God, and he finally got to that point where he fully trusted God, even though he had several times where he fell down. And one of the ways that his faith was strengthened, one of the ways he learned to trust God more, was by thinking about who God was, by studying about what God has done, by worshiping constantly and on a regular basis. When Abraham did all of those things, his trust increased. And that's one of the things I hope y'all will learn, is that as you worship more, as you think about God more, as you do things in the church more, you will come to trust Him too. That's how it gets better. It's never fully there, but it does get better over time. So good call on that, Kylie. Any other thoughts or questions?